We're going to go ahead and continue our Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series driver media availabilities in advance of tomorrow's Go Bowling at the Glen. We're joined now by the driver of the number 20 DeWalt Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Erik Jones. Erik, welcome. And we will go ahead and open it up to questions right away. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. We'll start over here with Phil.
Hi, Erik. I'm Phil Alloway at Front Stretch. Last year, you competed in the K&M Pro Series race here in order to get some additional track time. Just wanted to know whether you learned anything out of that experience that actually helped you here last year.
I would say not as much here as I did at Sonoma before that. Watkins Glen has always been a better place for me as far as road courses go. You know, we ran pretty good here in 2017, ran real well here last year. So I've always felt pretty comfortable here, but, I don't think track time ever hurts. I didn't have an opportunity to run the Xfinity race last year and don't this year as well, but, just being out there and getting the fundamentals of the track down was big for me. The K&N cars really are a long stretch from what the Cup cars drive like, but you still get an idea of what the track looks like and being able to see it and get a feel for it. So it's definitely a help.
We'll go right up front here to Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. You've run well here in your few starts, and I'm curious, in your preparation, how big did you focus on the inner loop, and do you feel like you're any good at the inner loop, or does it take more time?
It's, it takes time, right? There's some guys that are really good at it. I thought last year in practice we were really good at it, and then in the race we struggled all day through it for some reason. So it's kind of it's just a balance, right? It's an odd corner. It's a timing corner. You have to really put yourself in the right position through it. You have to hit the curbs right and carry the right amount of speed on the entry, or you'll never be set up right for the exit. So I feel like I'm probably middle of the road. I feel like there's times I can hit it right and get through there really well, and there's times I can miss it like anybody and really be off through there. But, it's definitely, the corner of focus for me. I feel like my struggles last year were in the race through the inner loop and through, what's the last two corners, 9 and 10? Is that right? Something like that. You know what I'm talking about, the left and the right. So those two corners. But, those are the places I was working on for this one.
Additional questions for Erik. We'll go right here to Lee and then to Nate.
Can you just talk about where you are in the point standings right now, and do you guys have a strategy just to kind of point your way in if you can't win? I know you feel really confident going to Bristol. You feel confident going home to Michigan. But short of that, is it just grab as many points as you can between now and the end of the regular season?
Yeah, we're in a really good spot right now with points going into this weekend. 39 points. That's almost a race up. So if we could have another good weekend here at Watkins Glen, if we don't win, getting another strong showing, getting up close, hopefully in the high 40s or low 50s in points over the gap to 16th, we'd be feeling pretty good. So that's the goal. We're in the spot now where we have an opportunity to gain a lot of points and continue to pick up some positions in the point standings. I think if we continue to run well until the playoffs, we can advance up close to the top 10 in points, which is a stretch. Take a lot to get there, but I think we can do it. We do feel good about getting a win here. We've been so close here the last few weeks. We'd love to just close it out, but I think I haven't talked to Chris about what we're going to plan for tomorrow here as far as strategy, because there is a lot of opportunity like there was at Pocono to either go for stage points or set yourself up for the end of the race. So it's a fine balance. We're going to have to really make a decision come tomorrow what we're going to have to shoot for, but definitely racking up points and trying to pick up a few more spots in the standings is going to be big for us.
And after 3 podium wins, do you feel like that monkey is off your back? And can you kind of preview, going home and running at Michigan? And is it more stressful because you've got family and friends there, or is it less stressful because you're basically at home?
Less stressful, probably. Yeah, in some ways, in some other ways it's more stressful. You're getting pulled a lot of ways, right? Friends and family being there, and more appearances, and more people wanting a chance to see you or stop by. So in some ways the demands are more, and then the stress comes with that. But in other ways, it's nice just to be at home and spend time with people you don't get to see. So I'm going to be up there all week next week from Monday night on, and that'll be a nice feeling just to be at home for a minute and be able to relax for that week going into it.
We'll go to Nate, then Dustin.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Eric, following up on what you were saying about mapping it out with Chris on what you're going to do tomorrow, is it essentially at tracks where you can pit and not lose a lap under green? Do we want stage points? Do we want to not pit right before the end of the stage? Is that kind of what it comes down to?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. This is another place where tires don't matter a ton, within the first few laps, and especially with this new package, I think they're going to matter less. And you have an opportunity to pit and get ahead of the strategy. So it's no different than last week at Pocono. You run Pocono like a road course, and now we're at a real road course, and we're going to run it like that. So the minute you can make it to the end of the race on fuel and pit and do it, you're going to want to do it. The only thing you're losing out on is stage points. So you have to make a decision. I mean, honestly, if we can win the first stage, if we're in a position to do that, where the guys either we're leading it or the guys ahead of us are going to pit and we can win it, probably going to take an opportunity to gain those 10 points because they're still going to be valuable to us, and try to race back through the next stage and probably set ourselves up for the end. But it's so circumstantial. You're making quick decisions. I mean, it's hard to keep up with on what everybody else is doing strategy-wise and where you're at. So all a little circumstantial. We got some decent stage points there at Pocono. Not as many as we'd hope, but the way it worked out okay.
Is it hard for you as a racer to sacrifice, like knowing that, hey, we get these 10 stage points, we're better off for the playoff position, but we're giving up a win? Is it hard to sacrifice that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough as a driver, especially if you're in a spot where you feel like you got a car that can win the race and you feel like you have a shot that day. If you're taking those stage points and feel like you're taking yourself out of the race, that's not a great feeling. It's just tough. I mean, it's a fine line and a fine balance of which way do you go with it, which way do you do it, and as a driver, you always want to go for the win, right? But sometimes you got to do what's best for you in the long term, and making the playoffs and getting through the playoffs is the long-term goal for us.
Finally, are you expecting speeds to be way up with downforce?
They'll be faster, from what I've seen and what we had in our simulations and stuff. It's going to be faster. We're slower in some parts mile an hour rise, right? Our top speed's down with all the drag, but our cornering speed and our entry speeds are way up. So I think the speeds will definitely be a little eye-opening for what we've had here in the past. I think definitely some of the fastest laps we've probably had around here. I don't know what the track record is, but I'd assume we'd be pretty close to it.
We'll go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Nearly a third of the races this year you finished second or third. In other racing series, second and third would be on a podium celebrating somebody else's win. Here you get to at least walk away and not be around it. There was a discussion at one point in this where this series was maybe looking at the idea of podiums. As somebody who might have been up there many times if that rule was enacted, is that something that you would embrace, or your thoughts on something like that?
Well, I mean, that's a tough spot, right? I mean, you're happy for the guy most of the time, right? If you like him. I mean, last week at Pocono, Denny being a teammate. I mean, yeah, I wanted to win, but you're still happy for the team and happy those guys got one. So, I mean, as hard as it would be at sometimes to stand up there and have to celebrate with that guy, I think there is a big part of motorsports that really appreciates that. It's a big tradition for them. You look at Formula One and I think IndyCar as well. So I don't know. It's never been a part of our sport, right? But I think I could manage through it if we really wanted to do that. If there was somebody out there that thought the podiums would be of interest for it, I think we could do it. But I don't know. It'd be weird, definitely, for sure, for the first time.
Also, I know you've talked throughout the season about how you guys feel like you've had speed and building towards speed, but certainly with the finishes recently, what do you guys feel like you've been doing a better job on these last few weeks than earlier?
The execution. I mean, just having cleaner races. We even at Pocono where we broke the track bar just through the first stop, but we were still able to make good adjustments from where we were and come back and have a solid race and have a shot to win. So it's just cleaning it all up. I mean, early in the year we had the speed and we'd get up front and then we'd have an issue, whether it was loose wheels or, making a mistake on a restart or missing an adjustment, just little things that would take us out of the race and take us out of contention that we couldn't work back from. And we just cleaned it up. You know, the last couple of months we've really, the pit crew's locked down, the crew's locked down. Chris has done a great job calling the races. I haven't made any mistakes on my end, which is just as important. So it's been a whole group of things. Just having clean races has managed to get us up front and contending.
We're going to go to the back now to Claire B. Lang.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I was talking to some of the teams about spotting for this race here and to some of the spotters, and they were talking about some teams have like 4 spotters here, and some just stay with 2 because they say the driver doesn't want too much in the ear. There's so much going on. How do you prefer it here? I mean, do you like a lot of talking to you? Do you have 2? Do you have 4? How does it work?
Well, I have 4 here, so 1 in the main spotter stand up the S's, down the short shoot, or well, the backstretch, I guess, and then 4th one, is in the inner loop. So, I mean, you know, it's tough sometimes because you get guys that don't spot for you every weekend, and they can make, you know, odd calls or talk too much, and sometimes they don't know how to use both radios, so they're trying to just talk to the crew chief, and they're talking on the main channel, and it can be kind of a mess at times, but I think it's handy, at least on the restarts, to have those guys there, especially even down the backstretch in the inner loop as well, just to have a secondary voice in your ear. Most of the time here on the road courses, you kind of know the situation and you know who's around you and where the cars are positioned, but it's still nice to have that second, you know, backup opinion telling you, hey, car right, car left. So we've always erred on the side of having, you know, 4 guys. I think all 4 of our teams here have 4 guys, so just having the guys there just in case. You know, they may not say anything more than 10 words all day, but it's just nice to have them.
And do you like a lot of talking in your ear here, or do you prefer just only say something? You know, I know Bill Elliott is spotting for Chase, and he doesn't say much, only when there's something that they need to hear because you guys got so much going on.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anybody but, you know, Rick, our main spotter, I would say don't talk. I mean, unless there's car left or right. You know, some guys get on there and they want to say, hey, man, you're doing a good job. Just nice and smooth through here. Keep it going. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to say that. Just keep it low-key, left or right, clear. That's all we need.
Any additional questions for Eric? We'll go right up here to Dustin. Make it quick, Dustin.
Dustin Albino, front stretch. Eric, what have the last 3 finishes done for your confidence level?
Well, I mean, it's raised it for sure, right? Every week now going to the racetrack. The last month almost, we felt like we've been in contention, and as a driver and as a team as well, it's a good feeling. You know, it's not just me. Obviously, it does help my confidence going to the track, but it helps the team as well. You know, when we come off runs like that, those guys are pumped up too, and they're amped up to get back to the racetrack. You get in a slump and a stretch of 2-3 bad races, everybody gets down. You know, whether you want to, as much as you want to say you're staying positive and staying after it, it's hard to fight through it after a couple of weeks of bad runs. So these good runs have been really good for us, coming at a good time, obviously, when we needed them to get in the playoffs, and now going to the playoffs, hopefully finishing this deal out, getting in, will be good momentum going into it. So it's been a big few weeks.
We'll finish up over here.
Mike Massey, the front stretch. Eric, the truck race at Eldora was the other night. Do you miss racing there at all?
At Eldora or the trucks?
The Eldora.
No.
I'm not a big dirt guy.
I'll go back and race a dirt car. I just was never a fan of the trucks. They were okay. It wasn't. I probably would have more fun now with the point if I was running for points. So that was my problem. I was running for points. So, and when I raced for points, it was still the old points. So it was like it was huge, right? You can't have a bad race. If I was there now, it'd probably be more fun because you'd probably be locked in the playoffs by now, and you could just go play around. So it's kind of a high pressure race, and it's like it made it not very fun for me.
Eric, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.